You might think a dime is just 10 cents, but certain Roosevelt dimes could change your life. From rare dates to hidden minting mistakes, these coins are highly sought after by collectors. Stay tuned to see if you already have one of these valuable treasures. The 1995 US 1 dime coin error. A piece so unique that its value can soar between $50,000 and an astonishing $120,500 depending on its condition and the intensity of collector demand. And the most fascinating part? You could be holding one right now without even knowing it. Let's take a step back and think about what makes a simple 10-cent coin worth more than many luxury cars. To understand that, you first need to grasp the nature of coin errors. These aren't ordinary production flaws like a scratch or a bit of dirt. True mint errors are rare, unexpected, and often the result of unusual mechanical or human mishaps during the minting process. When they happen, they produce coins that are instantly different from the millions of perfect standard versions that roll out of the US Mint. And in the world of numismatics, difference is everything. The 1995 dime error is one of those coins that stands out because of its distinctiveness, its scarcity, and the incredible story behind it. In 1995, the US Mint was producing the Roosevelt dime, a design first introduced in 1946 to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt. By then, the dime had gone through decades of production without much change, and the design had become an everyday part of American life. But in some rare cases that year, something went awry. The specifics vary depending on the exact error type. Some of these 1995 dimes are known for striking anomalies like broad strikes, double dies, or off-center strikes. These errors are dramatic enough that once you know what to look for, they become impossible to miss. Imagine a dime where the design is shifted far from center, or one where the lettering appears doubled, giving the coin a ghostly, layered appearance. These aren't just cosmetic quirks. They're the very markers that transform a regular dime into a numismatic marvel worth tens of thousands of dollars. Now, you might be wondering, why would anyone pay $50,000 to $120, 500 for a coin that originally cost 10 cents? The answer lies in the holy trinity of coin collecting: rarity, demand, and condition. Rarity comes from the fact that mint errors like these don't happen often, and when they do, most of them never even leave the mint. They're melted down or destroyed before the public can get their hands on them. Demand is driven by the passionate community of collectors who compete to own these unique pieces of history. And condition, that's where grading comes in. If a 1995 error dime is discovered in pristine condition, say never having circulated, with all details crisp and surfaces free of scratches, its value skyrockets. That's why some examples have been auctioned for amounts closer to the $120,500 mark. Think about the thrill of finding one. Picture yourself dumping a handful of coins onto the table, one of them catching the light just a little differently. You turn it over in your hand, noticing something odd. The rim seems uneven, or the design looks off. Your pulse quickens as you compare it to a regular dime, and the differences become undeniable. That's the kind of discovery that turns casual coin checkers into dedicated treasure hunters overnight. And it's also the reason why videos and articles about rare coin errors get so much attention, because the idea of finding something so valuable in such an ordinary place is electrifying. The 1995 dime also has an interesting place in the broader landscape of US coinage. The mid-1990s was a period before the explosion of state quarters and before many modern commemoratives captured public attention. Back then, most people weren't looking closely at their change, and error coins had a way of slipping under the radar. That's part of why these dimes are so elusive today. Many of them were probably spent, handled, and worn down before anyone realized they were special. The surviving examples, especially in high grades, are few and far between. Collectors who go after the 1995 dime error are often seasoned veterans in the hobby. They know that finding one isn't just about luck. It's also about knowledge and vigilance. They study reference books, check coin forums, and track auction results to keep tabs on market trends. And speaking of markets, the $50,000 to $120,500 range isn't just a random figure, it reflects real auction outcomes. When one of these coins hits the open market, it becomes the centerpiece of bidding wars, with buyers pushing prices higher as they compete for ownership. But here's something else worth noting. Coin errors aren't just valuable for their rarity, they also tell a story about the minting process itself. Every flaw, every misalignment, is a snapshot of a moment when the precision machinery of the mint faltered, however briefly. In that sense, an error coin is like a historical document, recording a tiny moment in the vast timeline of US coin production. For historians and collectors alike, that makes them priceless in more ways than one. The Roosevelt dime's design is deceptively simple. Roosevelt's profile on the obverse, a torch flanked by olive and oak branches on the reverse, symbolizing liberty, peace, and strength. When an error distorts this familiar image, it creates a striking visual contrast. The mind expects one thing but sees another, and that unexpected twist is part of the coin's allure. If you've ever seen an off-center strike where Roosevelt's face seems to slide toward the edge of the coin, or a broad strike where the coin is slightly larger than usual and lacks a defined rim, you know how eye-catching these can be. For those considering searching for one, the process is both simple and not so simple. On the one hand, it costs nothing to check your change. On the other, identifying a genuine error and distinguishing it from post-mint damage requires careful examination and sometimes professional help. That's why many collectors recommend using a magnifying glass and good lighting when checking coins, and consulting reputable grading services like PCGS or NGC if you think you've found something valuable. And here's a tip for anyone serious about the hunt. Focus on older rolls of coins from banks, estate sales, or even flea markets. Modern coins are less likely to contain rare errors simply because they haven't been in circulation long enough to mix with older batches. Your best shot at finding a 1995 dime error is to search through collections or change jars that haven't been touched in years. In the end, the 1995 US 1 dime error is more than just a high-value collectible. It's a reminder that extraordinary things can hide in plain sight, that sometimes all it takes is a closer look to uncover a piece of history worth more than its weight in gold. So the next time you're about to toss your change into a drawer or a tip jar, pause for a moment. Look closely, because that small silver-colored coin you're holding could be one of the rarest of its kind. A piece that could fetch between $50,000 and $120,500 at auction, and a story you'd be telling for the rest of your life. The story of the 2001 US 1 dime coin error starts much like many other fascinating coin tales, with an accident at the mint. Errors happen for a variety of reasons. Misaligned dies, doubled strikes, planchet defects, or even the wrong metal composition. But the 2001 dime stands out because of a perfect storm of circumstances. This was a time when the US Mint was producing millions upon millions of coins per day, and yet, in the midst of such high-volume, high-speed production, a small batch of flawed coins slipped through the cracks. For most people, a dime is barely worth noticing. For seasoned collectors, however, an error coin is a piece of history, a frozen moment where the precision of the mint faltered, giving birth to something incredibly rare. These errors vary, and that's what makes them so intriguing. Some known 2001 dime errors include dramatic off-center strikes where part of the design is missing, double dies that create a ghost-like doubling effect on the text or portrait, or planchets that were improperly prepared, resulting in odd textures or partial missing details. The most prized errors, however, are those that are most visually striking or hardest to replicate. Collectors love coins that tell a story at first glance, and the 2001 error dime does just that. A casual observer might think it's just damaged or worn, but the trained eye sees the signs of a genuine mint mistake, one that the public wasn't supposed to see in circulation. Part of what fuels the high valuation, again up to $110,500, is the sheer rarity. Imagine millions of flawless dimes being produced and just a handful of these flawed examples escaping into the wild. Once out there, these coins vanish into pockets, coin rolls, and cash drawers. Most get spent, lost, or tossed into coin jars. Only the lucky or observant few ever spot them, and even fewer realize their worth. When one surfaces in pristine condition, it sends shockwaves through the numismatic community. Collectors compete fiercely at auctions, knowing that opportunities to acquire such a coin are few and far between. Let's consider for a moment how an ordinary person might stumble across one of these treasures. Perhaps it's tucked away in a collection inherited from a relative who simply saved unusual-looking coins. Maybe it shows up in change at a grocery store. Sometimes people discover them while going through bulk rolls from the bank, a common hunting ground for collectors. In each case, the story is the same. What starts as an ordinary day ends with a realization that this small piece of metal could be worth tens of thousands of dollars. It's important to understand that not every 2001 dime is valuable. Only those with specific, verified mint errors command the big money. That's why authentication is critical. Professional grading services like PCGS or NGC examine the coin, confirm the error type, and assign it a grade. The higher the grade, the closer it is to perfect mint state, the higher the value. A coin with sharp details, bright luster, and minimal handling marks will easily reach the upper end of that $35,000 to $110,500 range. Coins that are worn or damaged, even with genuine errors, may still be valuable but won't reach those peak prices. The appeal of the 2001 dime error isn't just in its monetary value. It's also about the story it tells. Every error coin is like a fingerprint of the minting process, a tiny piece of evidence that something went awry. Collectors often view them as little miracles. Against all odds, They survived the mint's quality control, made it into circulation, and lasted long enough to be discovered. And for those who find one, it's like holding lightning in a bottle. Over the years, auction records for these coins have continued to impress. A handful of pristine examples have fetched sums in the six-figure range, attracting not just dedicated numismatists but also investors looking for tangible assets with strong appreciation potential. There's something deeply satisfying about owning a piece of history that fits in the palm of your hand, knowing that it's worth as much as a luxury car, or even a small house in some parts of the country. If you're wondering how to check your own dimes, start by looking closely at the year 2001, and then examining the coin for unusual features. Is the design off-center? Are the letters doubled or distorted? Is the edge incomplete or irregular? A magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe can help spot these details. Lighting also matters. Tilting the coin under a bright light can reveal subtle doubling or texture changes. And if you think you've found one, resist the urge to clean it. Cleaning can significantly reduce a coin's value, even if the error is rare. Instead, handle it carefully by the edges and consider submitting it for professional grading. The magic of coins like the 2001 error dime lies in their ability to turn ordinary people into treasure hunters. You don't need a metal detector or to dig through ancient ruins. Sometimes, the treasure is already in your pocket. That's why coin collecting remains such a captivating hobby. It's not just about accumulating pieces of metal. It's about the thrill of discovery, the history behind each coin, and the stories they carry from the mint to your hand. Collectors know that opportunities like this are rare. Most will go their entire lives without finding a six-figure coin in circulation. But for those who do, it's a life-changing moment. Imagine paying for a cup of coffee with change from your pocket, only to realize later that one of those coins could pay off debts, fund a vacation, or serve as a nest egg for the future. That's the power of the 2001 dime error. In the end, coins like this remind us that value isn't always obvious at first glance. They challenge us to look closer, to appreciate the details, and to see beyond the surface. For the 2001 US 1 dime error coin, the journey from mint mishap to coveted collector's prize is a testament to how small mistakes can create something extraordinary. So, the next time you get change, take a moment to look at it. Because hidden among the ordinary coins might just be a dime worth anywhere from $35,000 to $110,500. A little piece of history and a big piece of fortune waiting to be discovered.